So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. iOS 15 on iPhone 10. How does it run? So the series continues today. Let's go ahead and begin with a boot up in 3, 2, 1 to see how fast this thing can turn on beta 1 for iPhone 10. Now keep in mind that the iPhone 10 does have the Apple A11 Bionic chipset. It also does have 3 gigabytes of RAM, so it's not the highest in the RAM and it's not the fastest chip out there, and the phone came out back in 2017, so we'll have to see how it's going at this point right now. So we're closing in at around 22 seconds, so that's actually the fastest I've seen these latest iPhones that I've been testing boot up. Then that includes the 7, the 8 Plus. Even the 8 Plus booted up a little bit slower than this. It had a little bit of more choppiness, so that's pretty good. 22 seconds to boot up on the iPhone 10. So to confirm the software, you can see we are running iOS 15 right there. The A11 Bionic is clocked in at 2.39 gigahertz, and it has 2.76 gig or 3 gigs of RAM, like I said earlier. So first thing I want to do, like I did with the other devices, is kind of showcase how the software is running, just kind of going through regular things that you would open day to day. And right now, when I first booted up the iPhone 10, I was like, this feels like an iPhone 12 in terms of performance. It was super slick, super smooth, and iOS 15 is not really bringing major changes over iOS 14. There are some feature changes, but it's really giving you more of a refinement over 14. So it doesn't seem like it's going to be something that's going to slow down phones that were already previously running iOS 14 pretty well. So the iPhone 10 in pretty much every regard is running this thing like a champ. You can see we put on Control Center, we pop in the 3D touch, everything very slick, very smooth on board here. You can see that new focus feature right there, so definitely very nice as well. Gestures are incredibly smooth, and I'm not even finding, this is kind of weird how smooth this is for a first beta. I'm not finding many major issues. Now I will say though that certain applications aren't optimized properly for iOS 15, so you might get some crashes, but general performance pretty good here for iPhone 10 right out the gate. Okay, so let's get an idea of how fast the applications do open up here and how they perform on iOS 15. And it looks like you could run this beta right now and get through just fine. Now I will say that the battery life hasn't been the greatest here, as you would expect on a first beta, so I wouldn't recommend downloading the beta unless the iPhone 10 is your backup phone, because it's going to tear through the battery life faster than you're going to see on an official 14 version. So for that reason alone, you might want to steer clear of this first beta. But opening up applications, you can see that we're getting basically no issues in performance, and this A11 Bionic seems to have zero slowdown right now. I mean, this feels as fast as some 2021 phones in terms of just overall speed. It doesn't feel slow whatsoever. So if you're planning on keeping the iPhone 10 past the 13, maybe waiting for a total redesign, I think the 10 is going to be just fine to go another year, especially if you can live with the camera. If you're like, you need a much better camera, then you're gonna probably want to upgrade the 10. But in terms of the actual performance of the phone, there's no major issues that would make me tell you to steer clear or to upgrade right now, unless of course, again, you want the better battery life and you want the better cameras of the newer phones. Even opening up games, this one right here is going to crash. This is not optimized properly. It may crash. Yet there it goes, not optimized properly for iOS 15. But I will say again, these apps are opening similar to what I would see on more of a regular speed test when I do my speed tests on the channel. So we're not going to wait on PUBG since we're not actually comparing it side by side, but you can see that we're not having any major delays. I will say the phone is getting kind of warm. I'm definitely getting warm right here after opening up all these applications, so do keep in mind. That's one thing I noticed with the beta. Sometimes the phones just get really warm as if they're not super optimized, because I keep saying that, but they actually aren't super optimized just yet. And you kind of can feel that when the phone heats up quite a bit. So overall, going through those applications, you've seen no major issues. It was flying right through them. And let's see iOS 15's ability to hold these applications. We're not getting any major problems here. Remember, we didn't open up PUBG fully. That one crashed, so it doesn't really matter. We'll go to TV, news, ESPN, App Store, YouTube. We're just going through these quickly. This is a 3 gig of RAM phone, so as you get more and more applications, I think it's going to be around, 15, 20 or so. The iPhone 10 might reload. Looks like we had a little bit of a chop there when I went out of that application, the gesture was a little bit choppy if you noticed that. But I gotta say, let's check out 3D Touch here on the home screen as well. Very quick. Sometimes that will lag during betas, but it doesn't look like we're getting any issues there whatsoever. If we go ahead and add some widgets, let's go ahead and add some widgets here. You'll see that also loaded up just fine. In the original 14 betas, we were having widget issues. But yeah, I gotta say, pretty snappy overall. Let's go ahead and run a Geekbench 5 CPU benchmark and see kind of how this thing does perform on this first iOS 15 beta for the iPhone 10 on Geekbench. I'll be back with the final results. All right, so here are the final results of the iPhone 10, a 922 on the single, a 1458 on the multi. Now, if we go to single core, you'll see we actually beat out the average for iPhone 10. That's shocking for a beta. We'll go over to multi-core and you'll see we're behind the average quite a bit so on the multi-core. So where the performance really matters, which is usually the multi-core, we're a little bit behind. So we need some updates to get this performance back in line. However, it's only the first beta, so there's nothing too serious to be concerned about, as I wouldn't recommend you download this as your main software. This is your main phone. Now, I always want to test out the camera because the camera is an important thing. You've got to make sure this is operating smoothly just in case you are running the beta. But you can see everything does look to be looking just fine here on the beta in terms of the camera going to the front. No major lag or issues. For the camera, we can take our photos just fine on this device. All right, so let's check out Safari as well before we get up out of here. We'll go to apple.com. We'll hit go. You see that works just fine. You'll notice that the search bar did come down to the bottom here for iOS 15. It's a very neat look, but it's going to be a little bit weird when you first download this because you're not going to be used to it. The search bar was always up at the top. However, I think it does make for a more intuitive experience because you won't have to reach up to the top. And if your phone is too big for you or you think your phone's a little bit big, that could be helpful. So we'll go to Wikipedia right here, just kind of see how fast this can load up. And you'll see loads up just fine. Pinch to zoom, good there as well. So beta 1, surprisingly pretty good. The major problem for me is the battery life. It drains far too fast here on beta 1, so we're quite a bit of ways from recommending this as a main daily driver. My battery health on here is at 100% capacity. However, I'm still drained like almost 6 or 7% just in this short video right here, checking out how it runs. So iOS 15 giving you plenty of those newer features with FaceTime. You got the focus features, you got the new features with messages where you can add, share play and all that stuff going on in this whole system. So you got the new Animoji customizations. There's a lot of refinements and tweaks here. One wallpaper for now. Is the iPhone 10 going to run well on iOS 15? I think just based on this preliminary video, it's looking like later this year, it's going to run just fine. But stay subscribed, stay tuned for the iPhone 10 official review on iOS 15 in the fall. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't already. If there's an iPhone I haven't covered in this How Does It Run series, let me know which one that is on iOS 15 down below. I'll catch you on the next one. Nick here. Be sure to be well and peace.